Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. So you're probably wondering why I've been quiet on the progress and the status of Dobby. To be honest, it's because I haven't had any information. Dobby's been in the garage for like 6 or 7 weeks. So literally since I did the episode here at Milwaukee Bay, Dobby's been in the garage since then. I've had him back maybe 1 or 2 nights, but he's had to then go back in again. So it's been a long month and a half, and luckily I've had all these episodes in the hard drive so I could keep bringing content out. But let's discuss the Fiat Doblo. So when I went to Milwaukee Bay, I was there for 2 nights. On the day I was leaving, I was going to charge the Elite 200 V2 from the Charger 2, and as I was pulling away, basically flicked the cut-off switch to turn it on. Everything was fine, but then when I started going up a hill, the car started doing this. What's that? I was riding a horse there. And then when I got to the top of the hill, the engine light came on and it was just flashing intermittently, and there was just a lack of power. When I got to the top of the hill, there was like a wee farm entrance bit. Turned the car off, turned the Charger 2 off, and tried to start the car again and it wouldn't start. The AA came out and he couldn't get it to start. So basically he diagnosed it and all these fault codes came up, as you can see here. It's just a receipt of fault codes. So then with a bit of investigating, we realised that every time I turned the key, the main fuse in the fuse box would blow. There was no way we could get it going. So we recovered the car and I took it to my local garage. They got an electrical engineer out, and from what he saw, the coil pack had split. Apparently all the coils had went as well, and then he basically found that the fuse box had some corrosion around it. So he's basically fixed that and Dobby started. I went down and got it, and then I drove it away and the engine light came back on. I took it back to the garage again and they managed to get rid of all the injector codes. They gave me a phone call and said the main issue is looking like it's a timing thing. They basically came back and said it was one of the tensioners, so they actually showed me a picture of it. Was basically just off by a bit, so the timing was out now. So now that's fixed and Dobby's driving like a dream. He feels really nice to drive now. So that issue must have been something that was waiting to go. However, when I was driving away, the windows started fogging up and I've tried to turn the heater on and yep, the heater doesn't work now. I booked the car back in, they had to get an electrical engineer out again, done a bit of diag, and he found that it was basically the blower motor had went. So that's been changed. We now have Dobby back again, and so far he's feeling great. The heater works, there's no electrical issues, the battery's fine, it's keeping a charge, and there's no noises or anything. So Dobby is alive, Dobby is working, Dobby is kicking, Dobby's wanting to do this trip with Rick. So the complete fault list was a blown motor in the heater, coil pack split, corroded fuse box, timing tensioner had went. So the thing that's getting me is, why did all this happen at the same time? And the thing that I kept coming back to was it the Charger 2? But that wasn't the issue. So when I did the review for the Charger 2, I installed it correctly. Because I was changing the way the layout was in this box, I've basically took it apart. Then when I was going to Milwaukee Bay, I installed the Charger 2 again. I just grabbed cables because they looked the exact same, and that was the downfall. Because when I checked the Charger 2 after the garage, if you see here in this picture, you'll see at the bottom it says CHG for charge, which is where you would plug in the power station to give the power station power, and then next to it you've got PV, which is for solar. And the reason why these cables are labelled is because of the polarity, because the PV cable is bringing power in and the CHG cable is delivering power. So they're 2 different polarities. I think you see where I'm going with this. In a rush to try and get everything done, I've grabbed a cable and I've not even thought about it. I've basically plugged in the PV cable into the charge or the CHG port. So I've basically put the wrong polarity cable in. So then what's happened is when I was pulling away at Milwaukee Bay, I noticed the power station was coming on and then going off, coming on and then going off. Charging, not charging kind of thing. So in a nutshell, the way that I've wired it up, the power station is trying to charge the battery alternator and stuff, and the alternator with the more power is trying to power the power station. What's happened is when that power's been going down and that power's been going that way, it's basically overloaded my fuse board. Added with the corrosion, so basically terminals aren't speaking right and stuff. So it was me that caused it. It wasn't the Charger 2, it was me improperly wiring it up. So this episode is basically just going to be one big episode showing Dobby getting ready and finished for Scotland, painting it, wrapping it, bits of paneling on the back, under the bed, getting the electrical system and all that fixed, and basically just getting everything done. I was going to split it into episodes, but I've only got 4 days to get this done, so I need to get a move on, and if I keep stopping to talk to the camera, that's not going to happen. That's the state of play. Dobby is alive, so let's get into it. So with the doors, I'm going to make them just a wee bit wider than the holes. All I'm going to do now is just secure this to the frame and then we're done. Right, let's get some painting done. First coat is done. Check it, it is a lot darker. So again, I'm not doing the insides, I'm just doing everything at a C level. If I can see it, then it gets painted. Right, I am done for the day. So kind of like the black edging going around here, I'm going to have black edging going up here, along here and along here and along there as well. So I do need to paint under there and just a wee bit here as well. So that's going to cover it for the day. We have got 4 days to get things organised, so we'll be back on it tomorrow, so we'll see then. So I didn't realise how dark this grey was until I've opened the door and seen it in better lighting. And I'm actually digging it. I'm actually thinking that I might keep this colour for the new van as well. I have painted the back doors, which are going to go there. And I'm just waiting on the black screws coming and then we can fix these hinges. And I've also got magnets coming as well, just to open them and close them. We need to put the wrap on here and I need to go and get the edging as well once they get delivered at Screwfix. And then it's just other wee bits and... This is what I get constantly every day. Rick messaging me. Like, look at that, it's only 12 minutes past 11 in the morning and Rick's already messaged me twice. Anyway, I tried a design thing with the ceiling and it just didn't work out. So I have replaced the ceiling. So the only thing I need to do is put the LED light around it again. But I think what we'll do first is get the wrap done and see what it looks like. And that's that wrapped. How good does that look? It's got a nice shine on it as well. So I've just jumped out quickly because the edging came for the worktop. I thought I ordered plastic trim, but apparently I've ordered metal. I'd have preferred it would have been plastic, but it still looks quite good. But aye, would have been nicer if it was plastic, but do you know what? I'll take it. All the jobs I had to do today were just taking longer than normal, and it's always the wee jobs that take up the most time when building a van, but I'm not complaining because we have made progress. So before I show you, I did say the L brackets or the protective plastic for the edging was aluminium, so that is going to be changed to plastic, but I've put it on just now just as something to finish off the van. So let's start with underneath. As you can see, all painted now, and I've done that wee shelf as well. And then we have the worktop. Honestly, see, looking through this camera, this looks amazing. Looks nice and shiny as well. So it does smarten up a wee bit, as you can see going down the side there. I quite like the fact that that black edge is running all the way along and it looks like it's then going all the way up. So I was wanting to put an edge down here as well, but when I opened the door, it was catching on the screw. I'm going to change this to plastic so that then when we screw it in, it will go in even further in the plastic, and that should be fine. And then the next job, which again took forever to do, but I think it's just because I'm tired and I'm conscious of time and I'm trying to rush a wee bit. I have built the doors for the storage and put them on the hinges. And you'll also notice as well, we've got the wee hooks. So I used to use these in Dobby build version 1, and I thought, you know what, let's bring them back as a wee reminiscent for for Dobby version 1. Again, these are far from finished because I do need to get the rubber edging to go all the way around it. I wouldn't be able to get it delivered on time, so we go as is. They're just held on with magnets. We get access there and we get access there as well. So remember I said that you can lift this and then use it as an outside table. Check this. There you are. I mean, it's not going to hold anything heavy, but it's still pretty sick that it does that. And then with this one, we can obviously open it because this, so pull that down. And then we get access to some Gorilla Glue and my keys. Dobby is looking good for version 2. So we've got plenty of storage under the van and inside the van. But aye, it's getting there. So, as you can see, we've got the diesel heater hose, we've got the fuse board down there, we've got the Bulbetti charger 1 here. So the only reason why I'm not putting charger 2 in is just because of space. The charger 1's going through here and the fuse board positive and negative is going through this hole as well. Behind we've got the cut-off switch for the charger 1 if we lift this up. So this is where the power station's going to go. So I've actually wired up my fuse board to have 2 cables. First one is the XT90 cable for that 30 amp socket for the Elite 300. But the problem comes in if, say, one of the other power stations has got more power than the Elite 300, then I need to be able to switch over for the fuse box on that power station. So I've still got my 12 volt 10 amp plug socket as well, so that's wired in with the XT90, but for obvious reasons you wouldn't plug this one in and plug that one in and then try and run the fuse board because you would just have a bad day. So if I'm using the XT90, this one stays out. If I use this one, the XT90 gets pulled out. So it's just to make sure that I'm never in a situation where I don't have power going through my fuse box. But I am away for something to eat and just to chill, and then we'll hit it again tomorrow morning. So I've only got a couple of things to do today. Most of the heavy lifting's been done with the painting, the worktop, the trim and stuff like that, and the back doors. So today is testing the diesel heater, make sure it's working because it has been in the garage for 6 or 7 weeks, and getting the LED lights done. So I think the first thing we'll check is the diesel heater. So before we actually test the diesel heater, this is actually bringing me on to something else, which is carbon monoxide monitoring. So this is something that's always on my mind, and I do have this carbon monoxide alarm here, but I have been meaning to get another one just in case this one fails, or if the batteries have died and I've not known about it, then it's always nice to have a backup. I've seen horror stories in the news about van lifers and tent campers losing their lives to carbon monoxide just because in a tent they've maybe had one of those gas burners or even just a cooking stove and they've left it on for warmth but they've not had an airflow, and unfortunately carbon monoxide has leaked into their cab and they lost their lives. Carbon monoxide is known as a silent killer because there's no warning signs, there's no smell, there's no colour, there's no warning signs that you're actually getting carbon monoxide poisoning. You might start feeling lightheaded and stuff, however the problem comes if there's a leak when you're sleeping, which in these poor people's situations was the case, and because it's winter, it's warmed them up and they fell asleep and they didn't wake up. And the thing is, it can happen to anybody, even experienced people that know what they're doing, because if you're in a van or a tent during winter and it's absolutely freezing and then you put a gas stove on and you put the diesel heater on and you just start to feel that heat, you just get all warmed up and then the next thing is you just want to go for a wee sleep. Normally I turn it on for like 10-15 minutes and that's just before bed, get the van warmed up, then I get into bed and then I go to sleep with it turned off. And obviously that's where these come in, because if you did fall asleep, it'll notify you with this annoying sound. But like I did say, I was looking to get another one, and thanks to today's sponsor, we now have another one. So a massive thanks to the guys over at itehil. They've sent me over their Airbox Series 3-in-1 carbon monoxide detector. So in the box you just get a wee instructions manual. That's the unit itself, but we'll dig into all that. And you get a nice wee cord with a carabiner. So look at the size, it looks like a stopwatch compared to that. It is considerably a lot smaller. So as you can see, it is pretty small with a nice big visual display. It can run for 140 hours before needing charged, so roughly 5 to 6 days, and it's ran by a 1000 mAh rechargeable battery with a full recharge between 3 and 5 recharge time. On the screen you can check the humidity, the temperature and the battery level, and in the middle you have your CO concentration level. So this level will sit zero when no carbon monoxide is detected, but will start to rise if there's any trace of it. And once the level does start to rise, once it reaches 50 ppm, parts per million, the alarm goes off. And as you can see, there is a timer on the alarm, so the backlight does kick in just to preserve more power. There is one function button, and if you hold it, it will turn it on and off, and if you press it you can change it from degrees to Celsius. There's a carry loop on the top here which you use with the provided carabiner and loop, and then at the back you've got your USB-C port for charging. So when it comes to mounting a carbon monoxide alarm, basically they say you want to have it at breathing height, or in most cases you want to have it at sleeping height, and obviously you want to keep it away from any airflow, because obviously if there's a wind it's going to push the gas away, so it's just masking the problem. And you obviously don't want to put it right up close to other appliances and stuff, because you want, you know, the airflow around about it for the gases to reach it and stuff. Right, let's get the diesel heater checked. So I'm just going to wait until it's done its full cycle. I might even run it hotter as well, just to burn any soot away. So let's go outside and see if we can get a reading on the itehil monitor. So if you see down the bottom next to the battery, if you double click it, you'll see that you've got the wee volume indicator. So when you double click it, it turns the volume on and off. So just make sure this is on when you're going to be using it in your van. So let's check that ppm and see if we can get it to make the alarm go off. So it is windy as well, which I think is affecting it. And just to point out on the back here, this is actually magnetised, if you can see that. So we weren't hitting that 50 ppm threshold with the diesel heater, and it could just be the wind, so I've now switched the van on, so let's try the exhaust from the van. There you are. And you can see on the left and right it's giving us indicators as well, just to let us know that there's a warning. So there you have it, the alarm does go off at 50 ppm. For what it is, I think it's a nice piece of kit. I mean, a carbon monoxide alarm isn't something that you're going to pick up and be inspired of. The only thing you're relying on it for is if there's a carbon monoxide leak. One of the massive differences that I like over this one is the fact that you can see the levels. I'm not too fussed about the temperature or the humidity, but the fact that we can see that CO level going up is pretty cool. So even if there's a small trace of carbon monoxide, you're going to see that. My major gripe with it is this takes one of the, I think it's one of the big square batteries, and there's literally no power output other than just a wee health warning to let you know that it's still working. This is going to last you for like 6 months to maybe even a year. This won't last 7 days, it only lasts roughly between 5 and 6 at 140 hours. And I think that's the thing that gets me as well. It's another thing to remember to charge. But don't get me wrong, if you're only going away in your camper van for like a weekend, if you're going tent camping for a few days, then charge this up and, you know, away you go, it's going to be fine. And again, you do have that visual representation if there is any carbon monoxide. But if you live in your van, or if you're planning on using this for your house, it's going to get old very quickly, taking the time every week, or not every week, but every 5 to 6 days just to charge this. So I wouldn't use this as your full complete system. If you were to use this full time in your van as the only source, then for 3 or 5 hours while you're charging this, you're not going to have any CO detector alarm, which isn't ideal. And the obvious part, you're going to need to stay awake until it's charged. But guys, CO poisoning needs to be in the back of your mind if you're using a diesel heater or anything gas related to warm up your van, your house, a workshop, or even a tent. Like I said, it's undetectable, it's odourless, it's got no colour, and at the end of the day, one of these wee things could save your life. So guys, if you're like me and you do like devices with visual representation and it doesn't bother you about the recharging thing, then I'll leave a link to it in the description. You can go and check it out. And itehil have kindly given me a 20% off code as well, so if you go and pick it up, make sure to add that code and you'll get a nice wee 20% off it. For safety, you do want to have minimum 2 alarms in your van, because if one goes, you've still got the other. We have LED light again. That is Dobby ready for the Scotland trip with Rick. He has survived after that breakdown, so we are ready to go. As So guys, if you did go and enjoy the episode, why not drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments. And let me know in the comments as well if you had a rough idea what was up with Dobby, or if you have any idea why the electrical and the timing tensioner went as well at the same time. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see the upcoming trip with me and Rick hitting Scotland, then make sure to get subscribed to Down the Road, because that's what it's all going to be. And if you want to see what me and Rick did on the last trip when we went to Wales, I'll leave that up here. We were driving all over the north coast of Wales, we were paddleboarding, I almost died in a quarry, Rick got his car stuck in a ditch. If you want to go and see all that in preparation for the Scotland trip, then again, going up to that link and go check it out. So Dobby is alive, the build is done. I just need to bring the cushions in, tidy it all out, and then fill it with the stuff for the trip. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.